All right, guys, I've got a video of awesome fragrances in this video that I've discovered recently or maybe some time ago, that fragrances that are not hyped. No one or not many people are talking about them, and they are such great fragrances that you're going to want to know and find out about, because you're going to want to check these out and smell truly original and unique, and wearing fragrances that not many people are, wearing around you. So find out about these awesome fragrances that you want to get your nose on coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian, talking to you about fragrances that you must get your nose on, because these are some really, really great fragrances. And again, not many people are talking about them, and they deserve to be discovered as they smell great. To me, they smell amazing, really awesome wearing experiences, and some of the best niche offerings with one designer offering here. I got one designer here from a designer's upper end collection of fragrances, but all worth discovering if you haven't yet. Most should be fairly easy to get, but I'll tell you about the fragrances. But we're starting off the list with Ormonde Jane's Cashmere. So Ormonde Jane's Cashmere, I wore a really nice large decant or mini bottle of, like a 10 ml, I think, or 7, I can't remember. Really, really love the way it smelled. Now it's smelling like the DNA of other Ormonde Jane fragrances, but to me, it's got this super, super sexiness about it, mixed in with the kind of notes it has, like sandalwood, patchouli, there's pink pepper, there's other spices, and of course there's musky notes and cashmeran. It is one amazing fragrance, and one that smells so fantastic on me. Now, it is, again, as I said, very similar to the DNA of Ormonde Jane fragrances. So if you're familiar with it, you'll recognize it. But I really love the way the fragrance is blended and the notes that are in here. I feel like there's also molecular notes in here. Of course, the cashmeran is in here. It's super musky. But this fragrance is super, super sexy. And I think the pink pepper and the coriander that's in here, the spicy notes, really do shine and creates this really awesome, intense spiciness that blends really beautifully with that creamy sandalwood that's in here, the cashmeran's muskiness, and of course the earthiness of the patchouli. Such an awesome release. If you haven't gotten your nose on this one, I highly recommend it. It's become a favorite fragrance of mine from this house. I absolutely love it. It really, really smells great on skin. And for me, I find Ormonde Jane's fragrances really one of the most elegant and classy offerings. They're just created that way that when I put them on, or when I smell them, eventually they just remind me of these very classically elegant, fragrance offerings. But moving on to the House of Zoologist Perfumes, this is DODO Jackfruit edition. So I recently spoke about Francesca Bianchi's new Code of Emotion, which is a green mango fougere fragrance, but this has been out for at least a year prior to that, and it's a fougere in the end. This is not the original DODO, because a lot of the original DODO is very polarizing. It's got a lot of like sweaty, musky undertones, even though it's got that. It's fruity, but it's not satisfying to me. But this Jackfruit edition, if you're a fan of fougere fragrances, anything that smells like a barbershop fragrance, and it has, in addition to those kind of, notes, the barbershop fougere fragrance notes, this has that fruity greenness, and it's almost like a green rind of a fruit mixed in. It's super fantastic and really, really great, and kind of underrated for this house, actually. I don't hear many people talking about this, or it's not that hype. But again, if you're looking for a new fougere, you want it to be a bit spicy, fruity, and a green leaning, I definitely think DODO Jackfruit edition should satisfy you guys. I mean, it's a barbershop fragrance in the end, but it's a lot more than that. Quite spicy, fruity, and ambering in the dry down, but really a wonderful offering. I think the perfumer of this really did a great job and nicely blended the lavender's aromatic herbal touches with that kind of green fruitiness. And I'm personally not very familiar with jackfruit. I haven't personally had jackfruit at all, but I like the way it smells in the DODO Jackfruit edition. But heading over to Al Jazeera, I've promoted this fragrance quite a bit, and look at this This is my very first bottle of this fragrance, and I've got, you know, just a little bit left, and I need to buy another bottle, but I've been using quite a bit more of 54 because that's, you know, a fragrance I collaborated on. But this one, oh man, there's something super sexy about this, and also a bit of a reminder of Angel, the original Angel for the ladies. And then also mixed in with the Guerlain fragrance, L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extrême. It's just what it was called, with the brown rims on that bottle when it first launched in the mid-2000s. So it reminds me a little bit of those two notes. But here with this, it's an earthy patchouli, a bit green and honeyed. So it has this kind of like very autumn-like presence, and it has this kind of greenness to it. It's created by Olivier Cresp, who created the original Angel anyway. So if you're somebody that really loved the original before it was reformulated Angel, this is a fragrance that you definitely must get your nose on, because it reminds me of it, plus mixed in with a reminder of what L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extrême, the men's fragrance, which later became just L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme in EDT and EDP, which, you know, they did reformulate that fragrance. But here it's a combo of both, and it's super sexy, super delicious. But there is something a bit of daring in here. Not a lot. I mean, maybe you're sensitive and you'll pick it up. There is a slight cumin touch in here that adds this kind of very sexy layer to this fragrance. Absolutely love this. Al Jazeera Patchouli. If you can get your hands on it, please do. Now, this next fragrance I actually discovered while I was putting together my notes for a Elemi fragrances video. And this is a brand called EPHEMERAL DYADIC. This is OZYMANDIAS. Let me know if you're familiar with this house. I did discover this house selling at Scent Room in LA when I was down there for the promotion of 54. And I hadn't seen the brand anywhere. I actually discovered the brand a couple of years ago at Petit Fragranza. And I actually really loved their bottles. Really nice. And this also is pretty intense, and a little goes a long way. And I feel like it's basically paying tribute to Elemi resin. If you like this note, you must get your nose on this, because to me, it's an Elemi resin bomb. And if you've never smelled Elemi resin, go catch my video, because I had a oil of Elemi resin and I was telling you exactly what it smells like. But in general, Elemi is a resin, but it's used in top and heart notes. And it has the smell of this incense spiciness with a lemony edge. So there's a lemony touch. So I feel like they put it up top, the top of the heart notes, and it really amplifies kind of citrusy, spicy, aromatic notes really perfectly. And you probably heard of Elemi resin if you are a fan of Eau Sauvage Parfum. The 2017 edition utilizes Elemi resin, and if you like that note in there, you must check, get your nose on this one. But it's super, super fantastic. And it's quite spicy, but it has this kind of a lemony, citrusy edge about it. And I feel like the Elemi resin in this is like the majority of the fragrance is all about the Elemi, but I feel like when I'm smelling it, it has some kind of molecular amber woods kind of notes in there. There's musky notes and vanillic notes, and of course more amber in the dry down. But for me, it's all about the Elemi resin, and it smells fantastic. If you are into this Elemi resin note and you want to just experience it, as a fragrance on its own, and remember, it's just not Elemi, but it is a lot about Elemi. Get your nose on Ephemeral Dyadic Osmandias. It's fantastic fragrance. So next up is a fragrance from a Thai fragrance house from Thailand. This is PROAD's Blue Whiskey on the Rock in an old-fashioned glass. Now, I'm a big lover of boozy fragrances as long as it's whiskey, cognac, or rum. These three boozy notes are three of my favorite boozy notes fragrances, and I consider boozy fragrances as a top 5 note for me. I absolutely love boozy fragrances and the way they smell. They just really remind me of, sipping on booze and things like that. And here we've got a really great fragrance created by the perfumer. Oh God, I'm always forgetting this guy's name. He just passed away last year, I believe. It's a perfumer that did a lot of diptyque fragrances. I'll flash the name in, but this is a awesome boozy fragrance, and also not very expensive. It features notes of whiskey, anise, mint, eucalyptus, lavender, yuzu, cedar, oak, patchouli, vetiver, musk, and rose. And I feel like it's really nicely done. It has spices and aromatics and kind of green notes like anise and eucalyptus kind of go into that kind of slight spicy greenness. Eucalyptus can be a bit camphor and things like that. So it's got this great combo of aromatics, herbs, and spices mixed mixed together with the whiskey kind of amplifies the whiskey's boozy spiciness to the next level. It's really nicely done. If you are a boozy fragrance lover, you must get your nose on this one. It's super fantastic. I think it'll satisfy. And also, again, as I said, it's not necessarily uber expensive, so it's definitely worth checking out. But for me, it's super boozy. It smells like whiskey, but then there's a lot more. Like when you're at a bar and perhaps you're kind of like doing like spirit tasting. For me, it's a reminder of all these different kinds of spirits together when you're tasting them one after another, and it's left the taste in your mouth, but it's all about booze, but different flavors. Because sometimes when you go from one to the other, it kind of clashes, and it kind of, you can taste the difference between the two. It kind of gives me that kind of a vibe here. But I really love the fact that they have anise added here. And for me, the anise adds this extra layer of boozy spiciness in addition to the whiskey notes. Such an awesome fragrance. This is PROAD's Blue Whiskey on the Rock in an old-fashioned glass. Long name, I know. Then, going to the Italian house, the small, brand spanking new Italian house called La Sera, and this is Binge Eating Vanilla. So this is a fragrance, or actually the house is all inspired by conditions that humans have. This one's on binge eating, and it's a gourmand fragrance inspired by vanilla with hazelnuts. And to me, the hazelnuts contrasted against the vanilla here is so realistic. Hazelnuts is one of my favorite nuts to consume, and I like it in desserts. Of course, Nutella and things like that. And even though this doesn't have chocolate in it, the hazelnuts from Nutella is almost like blended with the vanilla in here, giving you that kind of a nutty, the nuttiness against this kind of like smooth creaminess of vanilla in this case. But this also has patchouli, benzoin, tonka, cedarwood, lemons, and bergamot. But a wonderful offering created by, I believe it's Fabrice Pellegrin here. Oh my God, I'm smelling it. It's so good. So good. It's almost like you're smelling Nutella, but Nutella stripped away of all the chocolate. You're left with a cream and a nutty cream, but it's like a vanilla rather than chocolate. It gives me that kind of a vibe. It's so yummy. So yummy. I hope this brand comes to the States, because I discovered this house at Petit Fragranza and instantly fell in love with binge eating vanilla. And me being the lover of, gourmand fragrances, that was top-notch gourmand. Really nicely done and so realistic. And again, the idea of Nutella without the chocolate is perfectly there. It just, to me, smells like a nut cream without chocolate. So like a vanillic nut cream or something like that. So good. But the next fragrance is the one and only designer I have in this mix. This is Balmain's Celle d'Ambre. This one right here. I've spoken about it here and there in a few videos. And I feel like it's a great fragrance. Really nicely done. Super sexy, smoky. There's something very classy, elegant about it as well. Not only does it have amber here, it's Celle d'Ambre, but I believe they're speaking about ambergris, but this combined with amber as well. So you've got not only amber, which, takes resins and balsams and labdanum and vanilla to kind of create an amber accord. They've also mixed in ambergris in here, which provides a saltiness. That's why it's called Celle d'Ambre. And I think they're referring to the salt in this as well. So there's tea, and it's just almost like a bit of an antique woods experience, which I have another fragrance that gives me that kind of a vibe, but that one has booziness. This one doesn't, but this one also has a kind of a church smokiness as well. Really awesome. Really awesome, because the Labdanum is in here, gives me that kind of a church incense with antique woods experience at the same time, along the way with the amber and the saltiness of the ambergris. Some people say it's a bit animalic. I don't get the animalic qualities of this one at all. Maybe my nose is blind to it, but I find it to be super sexy and a great offering. Very niche quality offering from the House of Balmain. And obviously, I think these days there's really no such thing as, niche anymore, because same perfumers are making fragrances for the niche houses and the designer houses. So it's all being mixed. But that fragrance is so good. If you haven't tried it, please do. But moving on to a fragrance house called Soul of Maquin. This is Haran. So are you guys familiar with this house? I first discovered this house last year at Paris Perfume Week. Instantly fell in love with several of their fragrances. And to come to find out, the perfumers behind the fragrances are all perfumers that I admire. And this one to me is a sweet and salty, sweet and savory gourmand, if that makes sense. Because there's a savory aspect of this that to me, if you strip away all its sweetness, it's basically you're left with saltiness because it has cereal, there's caramel, there's tonka, vanilla, sandalwood, cedarwood, apricots, resins. But the cereal is not sweetened, I think. It's more on the salty side. So it's almost like you're buying those unsweetened cereals and there's not necessarily a saltiness about them, but it's also not sweet. So to me, it comes off a bit savory, and that's kind of what you get with this one. Really awesome experience. But to me, this is a combo of sweet and savory, as I said, and that combo really works really wonderfully. But you do get the stickiness of the vanilla for sure. It's prominently there. There's vanilla and things like that, but the cereal is really, really prominent. And this cereal is also giving me a little bit of a rice vibe, but so good. Under there's a slight fruitiness as well, but Haran is a really, really great fragrance. I'm hoping this brand comes to the States soon because I don't know where, when, or if they are going to make it here, but I recommend their fragrances a lot. So next up is an older fragrance that I never hear anybody speaking about, so I wanted to highlight it. I've spoken about it on the channel here and there, and it's also from a house that's not known for fragrances. They're more about body care, skin care, kind of apothecary type products, but they have fragrances. And this is called Strawberry by Malin & Getz. Oh man, it's so good. It's not your girly Bath & Body Works strawberry. This is more of a refined strawberry, leaning green. They're called Mara strawberries, which I don't know anything about Mara strawberries, but that's what the notes breakdown says. But they also have green notes here, lots of musks and powdery notes and oak moss and cedar and jasmine lactones. But there's definitely something in here that gives me the ambroxan type vibe, and that's what I really love about this one, because that greenness, it's almost like an unripened strawberry. That's the experience I get. So it doesn't come off that girly kind of cheap smelling strawberry. There's something sexy about this, and the fact that it has these kind of amber woods, ambroxan types of musks in here, absolutely love it. And I think if you're looking for something for the summertime and you like musky notes with a slight green fruitiness, definitely check out Malin & Getz Strawberry. It's definitely a great fragrance. And the reason I'm highlighting it is because I recently was at Nordstrom and I saw the whole entire collection of Malin & Getz fragrances. I'm like, there's strawberry. That's my favorite in the collection. I got to highlight it because not many people talk about it. So if you haven't tried Strawberry by Malin & Getz, please do. But next, moving on to the house of Estier de Valette, this Menthes La Jolie, this one right here. So Menthes La Jolie is a really awesome fragrance from this house, and the brand is known for ceramics. If you're ever in Paris and you're on the Rue Saint-Honoré, make sure to stop into their ceramic store and also check out their fragrances, obviously, because they have some really amazing fragrances. Recently, I featured their amber fragrance in my European haul video, but I haven't really started wearing that one a lot yet. But this one, to me, is super fantastic, uber fresh green fragrance with all of the herbs and aromatics mixed in with some juicy citruses thrown in as well. It's got mint and basil, bergamot and eucalyptus. There's green fig, cedar, along with lemons, blackcurrant, mate ginger. Such a great fragrance, so cooling and refreshing, but easy breezy, like walking through an herb garden. It's that kind of fragrance. And I sprayed it on here. Now I'm smelling it without even putting it to my nose. Oh man. There's definitely a lot of herbal qualities here that you also get a little bit of the tomato leaves kind of a greenness. And I just love this, the way it smells. There's something comforting about green fragrances for me. I don't know, maybe because I grew up in a garden. My dad used to garden and, pick a lot of vegetables and herbs and things like that, mostly tomatoes, a lot of tomatoes and herbs. So this gives me that kind of a vibe, and it's super fantastic. If you like that kind of a smell, you must try this Menthes La Jolie from the house of Estier de Valette. One of the best fragrances in their repertoire, I think. But moving on to the house of Orme Paris, this is Trois 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 in the EDP concentration. And so I actually featured the Extrait de Parfum in a mystery box late last year, was it? Yeah, late last year. So I hadn't ever smelled Trois 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 in the EDP. I went to ZGO Perfumery to smell it. I'm like, oh man, that is such a great fragrance. It's even better than the extract. Yes, there are situations where I'm not the biggest fan of the extract. I mean, the extract is good. It's got a bit of a cumin spiciness, but for me, it's all about the EDP. The EDP is patchouli heaven for me with a antique woody booziness. The combo is so yummy. I can't believe it. They don't mention any boozy notes here. And to me, all the woods and spices remind me of like some antique library or church. And you can smell the furniture in there and how old and aged it is with, you know, some kind of a spirit being consumed or something. That's what I get from this. And I find that to be quite sexy, especially coming from this fragrance because it smells amazing. Really, really awesome fragrance. And it's, to me, much better than the Extrait de Parfum. I mean, you get the antique woods thing. If you've ever gone into like a shop that sells antiques, you can smell those things they're selling. There's a smell about them, their age, and you know, the people handling, leaving their own smell on them and things like that. So there's definitely that age smell with a lot of booziness and also a lot of patchouli and spices. So yummy, so awesome. Trois 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 EDP. Make sure it's the EDP. Nothing wrong with the extrait, but for me, compared to both together, it's all about the EDP now that I've sampled it. And this next fragrance is a fragrance I have spoken quite a bit about. It's from a crazy brand that I discovered in Dubai at a mall, and I bought a fragrance of theirs. And because what happened was they gave me a sample as I was, not a sample, but a strip sprayed on, and instantly fell in love with it, so I had to return and buy a bottle. And ever since I've been highlighting it here on the channel, people have been asking me where to get it and things like that. And they don't really have a website that's easy. Just people are contacting the brand and buying it. But that brand is called Thok Halawar, and this is Aldi1. Sadly, my bottle got a little messed up because I actually took this to Europe with me for a month and a half, and it kind of scraped along everywhere and kind of started wearing off. So I kind of finally figured out exactly what this is reminding me of. I feel like it's a combo of black oud or something like black oud, gold rose oud, or this kind of a combo of oud and rose and patchouli with something like Noir de Noir from Tom Ford, because I've been mentioning that there's this creamy layer here, and for me that Noir de Noir has that kind of a creaminess. Just imagine that kind of an experience here. Something super creamy, but lots of oud and also rose and maybe even saffron as well. And of course, patchouli. But it's so super delicious, guys. Really a wonderful offering. If you have gotten your bottle, I mean, again, people ask me where to get it, and I said just contact the brand on Instagram, and I think they've been able to buy bottles from the brand directly. But if you have bought a bottle, let me know. Again, I've tested other fragrances from the house. I'm not really caring for them. This stuff to me is super fantastic. Yes, the bottle is a bit cheap looking and it kind of scratches off, but the juice inside, one of the best I've ever put my nose on. And next we're talking about a brand called Synonym, and this is White Widow Extrait. It says Extrait de Parfum on it as well. So I discovered this during Beauty World in Dubai, and I was just, checking out the brand. I smelled the fragrances until I came to this, and I was like, what is that I'm smelling? It's super amazing. So this is my third favorite note, tobacco, and it's a tobacco bomb, taking something like smoke from acro, but adding a lot of spices to it. So this has tobacco, vanilla, cannabis, anise, nutmeg, cinnamon, carnation, tonka, coriander, black pepper, ginger, heliotrope, patchouli, amber. What an amazing fragrance this is. I can't believe how good it is. And again, if you're familiar with something like tobacco vanille or acro, as I mentioned, you've got these kind of touches here. It doesn't have a lot of vanilla. There is sweetness, but it's more about the spices. And I think here we go with the anise again. The anise is such an amazing note in fragrances. I don't see it come up. It is prominent here, mixed in with all the warm spices. And also, I mean, there's vanilla here, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the spices are overtaking the vanilla. And that anise is really, really key here. And it just kind of dominates with the sweetness of the vanilla and the overdose of the tobacco. But again, there's other spices in here, and there's also cloves and carnation and things like that, because I get a clovey vibe from carnations. It's just basically, it smells like cloves to me. Yeah. Anise is really, really prominent. And if you guys don't know anise, I do have a video. It's been a while since I've done a video, an updated video on anise. It's so super prominent here. You do get the smoke definitely the smoke from fragrance acro smoke qualities here. It acts like it, because it doesn't act very syrupy, sweet, vanillic like tobacco vanille does, but you also get the spices from tobacco vanille in here as well. The cloves, carnation combo, the ginger and things like that. Lots of black pepper. There's also the cinnamon. This is a fantastic offering. I don't know much about the brand, but this fragrance is a discovery for me, and I'm head over heels with it. As you can see, I've used up quite a bit. I love tobacco and fragrances, and that's definitely an awesome one. Then we're talking about the Harmonists, one of their latest. It's called Oud Nebula. I sampled this earlier this year or late last year from a sample. Instantly fell in love with how great and refined this oud is. I don't think we're breaking any new ground here, but I like the refinement here. It's so super smooth, no rough edges whatsoever. It's a lot of oud with rosy touches. There's amber here, there's saffron, leather, of course, rose, sandalwood, tonka. There's also cedar and laurel note. To me, nicely done. So super amazingly done. But this Oud Nebula, ooh, yeah. It's very smooth and also kind of fabric cloth-like from all the saffron that's in here. There's a lot, so which leads to more of a leathery experience. It's rosy, but not super rosy at all. Everything is just perfect. It's like perfectly blended and smoothed over. They've taken out all the fat and the gross parts of all the notes and ingredients, and they've given you nothing but the best. At least that's what I experienced with this. It's super smooth, super refined, as I said, and also very fabric leathery. Really awesome stuff. I really, really love that. This is Oud Nebula from the House of the Harmonist. And the next fragrance I'm talking about is from the House of Effervescence. This is Saffron Neroli. I discovered this a month ago at Paris Perfume Week, and I was there and I really enjoyed what it was all about. And this is a collection of fragrances called Heart Notes. So basically they're focusing on heart notes, and it's about saffron and neroli, which these two notes typically are found in the heart notes. But it's saffron, neroli, karak black tea, honeyed davana, and ylang ylang. This works so good. You do get a little bit of a leather aspect to it, but also very metallic, and it smooths over the neroli, giving you a little bit of a candied bubblegumminess, but slightly honeyed and boozy under there as well. But a beautiful blend, really smooth and creamy too. And Karak black tea, I recently had some in Dubai, and I know what I think that's what they're referring to. And there's a lot of spices in that kind of a tea, I think, unless it's just the black tea part itself. But it does come off very, very spicy. Definitely a wonderful offering from this house. So this is Saffron Neroli from the House of Effervescence. And then the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is another Thai house called Siam 1928. And this is Virupaksa. Let me know if you guys are familiar with this house. I discovered this house at in Aix-en-Provence, Milan at Aix-en-Provence. This one blew me away, but it does remind me of a fragrance. Let me read you the notes, and then maybe you can figure out what fragrance I'm talking about. Although it reminds me of that fragrance, and then it changes, but it's honey, vanilla, osmanthus, saffron, Thai oud, sandalwood, leather, and bergamot. So it reminds me a little bit of the original raw gold. When I wore this for the first time, that's what I got, but it goes away quite fast, then becomes a honeyed experience, a bit oudy woody and leathery. But the honey in here is so beautifully golden, so super delicious, really, really awesome. This is definitely an amazing fragrance, and I can't believe how great it is. And I fell in love with these bottles, these ceramic bottles from this house. And again, this brand is a Thai house called Siam 1928, and that is Virupaksa. Yes, it's a Thai word. I'm not sure what it means, unfortunately. If you are Thai, let me know. But Virupaksa is so good, guys. If you are a fan of raw gold or fragrances that are like raw gold, you should definitely check that one out. And that's it, guys. That's all I have for you. 16 fragrances to talk about today. Let me know if you're familiar with these fragrances. Add a comment below. Let me know which one sounds great to you if you haven't tried these. Add a comment below. Otherwise, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.